Welcome to the Explainer. So, if you've ever worked with an AI coding agent, you absolutely know the frustration of instruction drift. You know that exact moment where the AI just goes totally rogue, expands the scope for no reason, or just starts hallucinating code you literally never asked for? Well, today we're unpacking a really brilliant solution from the Desktop Dex playbook. We're going to explore a structured system designed to totally eliminate those hallucinations and essentially fence your AI in.
This entire system we're looking at is built on one incredibly powerful philosophy. Prompts live on keys, not in your memory. I want to challenge you on something right now. Think about how much of your day is completely wasted typing out repetitive instructions, polite little requests, or just long-winded context to your AI. By offloading those perfect, battle-tested instructions to physical or virtual keys, you're guaranteeing precision every single time you hit a button.
Just to give you a bit of quick context, the deck we're exploring today is actually part of a larger 4-deck productivity system. That system features profiles for general AI work, browser focus, and Claude. But today, we're zeroing in entirely on the bottom row, the VS Code deck. This is the ultimate coding command center. It packs 90 prompts into 9 distinct folders, all to strictly discipline an AI coding agent working right there inside your editor.
Here's our roadmap for this explainer. We'll hit the contractor mental model first, then move through Phase 1, Plan, Phase 2, Build, Phase 3, Debug, and Phase 4, Ship and PR. Finally, we'll wrap up with Emergency and Maintenance.
Section 1. The Contractor Mental Model, Strict Boundaries.
Okay, let's dive right into this. You've got to treat your AI like an eager but easily distracted junior contractor who needs an ironclad contract. Every single one of the 90 prompts in this deck shares the exact same strict 4-part anatomy. First up, the command, exactly what to do. Second is the because, an explanation of the principle behind the rule. Third, a demand for evidence, literally forcing the AI to paste output or cite a real path. And fourth, a hard stop, explicitly telling the AI exactly where to halt and just wait for your approval.
If you take absolutely nothing else away from this explainer, memorize this 5-word mantra right from the source material. Evidence before claims, stops before drift. Seriously, write that down. This is the foundational rule governing every single interaction in this system. It forces the AI to prove its work and strictly prevents it from spiraling off into unapproved wild territory.
So here's how that philosophy actually physically manifests. Notice how the center column and the bottom right form what we'd call the main road of a developer's day: Plan, Build, Debug, Ship, and Git plus PR. The surrounding folders basically act as emergency lanes and support tools. Let's start driving down that main road, shall we?
Phase 1. Plan. Assumptions are bugs with a delay timer. In this phase, we're operating on the premise that assumptions are basically just bugs with a delay timer. Looking at the command keys available here, you'll definitely notice a theme. The prompts in this folder force all the heavy strategic thinking to happen way before a single line of code is ever written. You use these at the start of anything bigger than a simple one-file fix. And importantly, every single prompt triggered by these keys ends with the word stop. The agent is essentially legally bound to pause and wait for your human validation.
Let's check out a few essential prompts here. My absolute favorite is interrogate me before you plan. As the very first key you hit for a new feature, it commands the AI to ask you a numbered multiple-choice list of questions that could completely reshape the plan. It totally eliminates your unstated assumptions before anything else even exists. Then there's write the plan file with validation first. This one forces the AI to write the plan to a dedicated file, not some ephemeral chat window, because, the file is what actually survives your coding session.
Phase 2. Build. Implementation with guardrails.
Now, during your active build coding session, the core rule is critical. Scope that grows quietly is scope nobody reviewed. The shift in mindset between these phases is actually pretty striking. While the plan phase demands comprehensive documentation outside the chat window, the build phase demands hyper-focused, tightly scoped execution. You tell it to implement one phase and absolutely nothing else. No extra favors.
Now, what's really interesting here is how these keys physically fence the agent into the smallest safe fix possible. You aren't just broadly saying, hey, build this feature. You're giving highly specific, restricted commands that massively limit the blast radius of what the AI can even touch at any given moment.
For instance, check out mark every to-do before you code. This is just pure ingenuity.
It forces the AI to insert explicit to-do markers at every single location it intends to change, and then report them back to you before writing any actual implementation code. As the source beautifully points out, you'd much rather correct the AI's map beforehand than try to untangle its messy diff later on, right?
Phase 3. Debug. The discipline folder.
When things break, the temptation to just blindly guess a fix is at its absolute highest. But every single key in this discipline folder absolutely demands evidence before a single line of code is edited. You're not allowed to guess. The AI is definitely not allowed to guess. You literally must instrument, read, and prove the failure first.
This crucial point is summed up perfectly in the prompt, reproduce it end-to-end first. The whole principle programmed into this key is that a fix for an unreproduced bug is basically just a guess with a commit hash attached. The AI is strictly ordered to script the reproduction and paste the expected versus observed output well before it's ever allowed to propose a fix.
Phase 4. Ship and PR. Quality gates and safe merges.
This phase covers everything from, hey, the code works locally, to it's safely merged. The ship folder acts as your ultimate pre-release quality gate. A real standout here is prove the journey with real evidence. This prompt forcefully reminds the AI, and let's be honest, you too, that a passing unit test is not actually real evidence that the product works for the user. It requires undeniable proof, like capturing a screenshot, a recording, or a log of the real entry point, before you can tell a client or a team lead that a feature is actually done.
Once you finally have a go decision, you move over to the Git plus PR folder. These command keys are specifically calibrated to take a completed, and sometimes pretty messy, working branch and turn it into a perfectly clean, well-documented, and easily reviewable merge. A fantastic example of the defensive mindset built into this system is the adversarially review this diff key. Before you ever request a human review, you hit this button. It commands the AI to review the branch as a totally hostile reviewer whose only job is to find defects. It forces the AI completely out of its eager helper persona and into a critical mindset, which catches defects when it's still cheap to fail, long before it hits your teammates.
Section 6. Emergency and maintenance. Rescue, context, tooling, learn.
So while the main road gets the actual job done, outer folders like rescue, context, and tooling are what make the whole system sustainable. One of the absolute most critical maintenance actions lives right in the context folder. Prime this session cold. When you fire up a fresh session, you hit this key to force the AI to read the rules file, the plan, and the recent Git logs. It then has to report back its understanding of the next task. Why do this? Because frankly, you would much rather correct its understanding up front than try to correct a massive, completely incorrect diff 10 minutes later.
And that brings us right back to where we started. Evidence before claims, stops before drift. By structuring your AI interactions with mandatory stops and strict demands for proof, you stop fighting the tool and you start actually directing it. So I'll leave you with this final, somewhat provocative thought. Knowing that precise, structured contracts yield the absolute best AI code, how much time are you still wasting rewriting those AI prompts from memory? It just might be time to start building your own physical command center. Thanks for joining me on this explainer. I really hope this transforms how you work with your coding agents.